Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Happy Butcher. I'm your host, The Butcher. Today, our hunter hunted down a doozy today. He's got 3 very large female deers, and I believe they're all carrying deer fetuses. I don't know, I was thinking in my car, what if I extract the fetuses and try to sell it online? But I'm sure there'd be some weird people who want to buy them for whatever reason. Maybe they might eat it. I don't know, some Chinese people eat it as a delicacy. But I don't know. It seems kind of weird. Since I've also never seen deer fetuses for sale online. Yeah, it's like selling dead babies online. So I'm like, it's like a real ethical issue, you know? So I thought, probably I don't want to do that. Yeah, I left in a rush last time. So all of my materials are still here. Let's bring this down. Alrighty. Ooh. So my local hunter said, yep, he's only got 3 or 4 more days until he's going to stop hunting for the next 2 weeks. So, yeah, I'm not really looking forward to that. So he won't be giving me any calls for a whole 2 weeks. And that usually doesn't happen, but, you know, it's the Japanese hunting season, so it can't be helped. So just got to take advantage when we can. Okay. Phew. I just finished talking with my brother in Mexico and my mom. And I think it's my mom that mainly wanted to talk with me. So I had a nice little conversation with my mom and got to see my cute little nephew, my brother's new baby. So that was really nice. Yeah, I was talking in my car on the video phone, which wasn't too good. A little bit dangerous, but you know, I really wanted to talk with, especially my mom. One thing I noticed, especially when me and my siblings are talking with my mom, is that, like, we kind of like leave her out of the conversation. Like she gets kind of like paved over when we're all talking about stuff, about our own stuff, you know. And I think my mom kind of feels a little bit left out. So that's not too cool, you know. So sometimes, yeah, when my family's all talking together and they leave my mom out, I wish sometimes they would give a little bit more attention to my mom and start talking to her, you know, about stuff instead of kind of leaving her out, you know. That's just some of my thoughts, but yeah, as siblings, you know, I guess we really want to talk and communicate a lot, so I guess we kind of value our own opinions a bit over our moms, or I don't know, maybe we're just kind of rude. Whatever. But here we go. These are the 3 deers. They're huge. Well, 2 of them are huge. And the hunter got them by 1 by gun, 2 by fuck, this is heavy. 2 by traps. Okay. Oh my god. This is fucking huge. Wow, it's like that was gonna bend the poles down. It's that heavy. This has got to be like freaking over 200 kilos easy. I say 210, 220 kilos. This one on top is huge. It's got to be at least as heavy as me, I think. Ooh, and it's bubbling. This one's guts are coming out. This is a lot smaller. But the hunter says they're probably all carrying fetuses. So I might do the weird thing and take the fetuses out and freeze them and just see if anyone's interested, because these things are ready to blow. And it's like, it looks like a little baby deer that's ready to burst out. I don't know. I guess I'll put it online. And if they flag me for it or I get in trouble, then I'll take it off. But as long as I'm not showing the actual fetus, maybe it might be okay. Because, you know, showing a dead baby online, that's not good. But if it's still in the amniotic sac and it's not really showing the fetus, maybe it might be okay. Who knows? We'll see. My handy winch for getting up into the car. And yeah, the hunter said he had to drag these things like 100 meters down the mountain into his truck. And it took him like 3 hours to get it down the mountain, little by little, just pulling it down. It'd be a lot easier for him to just leave it there, but I guess, you know, he knows I need the meat. And I give him a little extra money, so I guess it's a little bit of extra motivation. But anyways, I'm always grateful that he works his ass off to bring this meat back to his house so I can pick it up and butcher it. So thank the hunter. He definitely doesn't do it for the money, because I only pay him like 20 bucks a head. So yeah, lucky. And he knows that he could handle it rough and whatever guts are falling out. And I don't care, because this is dog food. So anyways, let's get that guy over there. That's one down. That was a small one. And these guys are the mammoths. Yeah, alrighty. These guys are definitely carrying. I mean, those are babies are gonna pop out. Looks like they're gonna pop out right now. So next, let's haul the mammoth one. Fuck, this is heavier than me. This has got to be 70 kilograms. All right, I'm just glad it's not raining. And let's just see if we can get this guy up the hill. Little by little, little by little, pulling. Fuck. Oh shit. I've slid down this hill so many times, I can't count. Anyways. Yeah, but I'd love to see my hunter friend put a freaking camera on his head when he's catching these deers. I think that'll be much more interesting content than what I do. Ugh. Thank God for this tree. Oh, otherwise it'd be hard to get leverage pulling this up the hill. Okay, almost there. Yep. A little bit more. Alrighty. Boy, oh boy. Imagine pulling this sucker 100 meters up or down a mountain. That must be something else. Alrighty. 2 down. And just one more. Next one is a medium-sized one. So let's see how this goes. This is also huge. He shot this thing right in the mouth. I'm sure that shot just rang its head. And probably the shock from that just knocked it out. So yeah. Nice shot. So he shoots in the head so it doesn't damage the meat, he says. Because if you shoot the meat, yeah, it gets all bloody and nasty. So I'm thankful for him for thinking about that. It was a long day. For some reason, I didn't sleep well last night. The fuck was that? I don't know. I was making a homemade whip until 2 a.m. yesterday. I figured I'd stay awake so I can kind of get used to going to sleep late. But after turning in at 2 a.m., I couldn't sleep. So that was bad. So I was up to 3 a.m. Kind of got a little shut-eye at 3. I kept waking up like every few hours. So that was not good. And then got a few more hours of sleep until about 9 a.m. to when I had to go to work. So I was really tired out. And today's work was busy as hell. I was just really tired. After that, I had English lessons. And got a quick bite when I got back home. And then drove to pick up the deer. So I guess if you do the calculations, that's a 17-hour day. Pretty long day, right? But recently I've been strong enough to handle that kind of day, so good for me. I mean, it's my choice, so I really don't think of it as work. It's just something I do. So that's always nice. So I usually don't work on Wednesdays, which is today, but my wife took my sons to the hospital for a last kind of check of his lymphatic disease. So he had a pretty bad lymph disease since he was young. But they took off the enlarged lymph from his side and put some fake skin on it. Not fake skin, but skin from his head, growing and spreading around. And they periodically check on that skin area, because if the skin doesn't grow and expand well, then he'll have kind of skin problems around that area. But he hasn't really had that many problems, so as far as movement for his, oh, there was a shot at his neck. Wow, he paralyzed it. Crazy. And he could play sports and do everything well, so the doctors did a good job on his surgery for making him better, so I'm happy about it. All right, head and legs off. Let's start removing the skin. It's still relatively cool recently, so I'm not really worried about spoilage. But in the daytime, yeah, it does get pretty warm, so when you're talking about this rainy season like June and getting hot and humid in July and August, this meat, if it's left outside, will pretty much be spoiled, so that won't be good. So hopefully I'll be able to get my hunter friend a refrigerator by then, and we should be good. So yeah, it was super busy at the cafe today. I don't know why it's been so busy recently. I guess our prices are cheap. People come for the nostalgia maybe. And, you know, people like coming to a place they're familiar with, and it's got history, it's got character. I think, you know, a lot of places these days, they just don't have a lot of character, especially the franchises. When you got the old-fashioned, old-school places that are still standing, which is relatively rare, I think people come to appreciate those type of places. So I think of places back in the States that I used to go to that has a lot of great sentimental value to me. And I'm always happy when I can go back and still see the same people and get the same food that I used to. So it's always a nice feeling. Anyways, I should make a bag for the wombs. Oh boy. I've never taken home wombs before, so that's gonna be weird. And I should probably take a picture too. Maybe I'll take a picture later. I'll just try to leave the wombs intact and see if anybody buys it. Probably get some violations, but whatever. Maybe dogs like it. Dogs might like wombs. Who knows? Anyways, let's get the skin off the meat. Boy, oh boy, there's a lot of fat on this skin. If you were to render down this hide, I think there would be a ton of fat. Speaking of fat, I've been about 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks on the carnivore diet, or keto diet. And shit, I'm thinking of calling it quits. Because when it's busy, man, I'm fucked up. It was busy as hell today. My head was pounding. I couldn't focus. I didn't sleep well last night. So all in all, I was kind of in a bad condition at work. And when it's really busy at work and you're not 100% functional, yeah, that fucks you up. Even teaching English class, I mean, English class you can kind of get away with being half functional and maybe half-assing the class, you know. But when you're at a cafe and a restaurant and you got to be on the ball, you just can't fuck around, otherwise customers will not come back. And in a small town, you don't want to lose your customers, because in a small town, all you have is repeaters, basically.
So if you don't take care of your regular customers, not the people you know really, but most importantly, people you don't know, people who come back regularly because they like the nostalgic value, and you do see those people come back time and time again, you have to be sure to take care of those people. Take care of everyone as if they're close friends, people you care about. Give love to everybody. Unfortunately, when it's busy, you can't always put out the best quality food. Sometimes you're going to have the food not as well done as you might want it to have done because you kind of have to value time rather than quality. You sometimes put out food that's not as good as you hoped, but you don't want people waiting an hour for the food too. You kind of have to take reality into focus and make a faster food with a little bit lower quality, but in a timely manner. So it's give and take, But yeah, Wednesdays, which is today, is definitely our busiest days. Oh shit. He shot it here? Oh. What? Shot it twice maybe. I don't know. I would assume with an animal this big, you would need to shoot it twice just to be sure. And be careful, Okay. So yeah, today would be a 17-hour day full of classes and work and butchering. I was never this tough before, I was never this hard a worker. I would have never dreamed before I came to Japan that I could put up with a schedule this hard. And now it's just kind of a regular thing to me. So it's easy, get used to it. I was talking to my brother today. He's like, "Oh, you're working like a crazy Japanese salaryman." I was like, "Yeah, kinda, I guess, But now that I am, I don't really see anything wrong with it. Kind of burying yourself in work. It's not all that a bad thing. All right. Let's take some of this meat off first. And then we'll open up the belly. So when my mom wants to talk to me, she always messages me, and she messaged me kind of late last night. I wanted to talk to her, but I was a little bit beat and tired. And my brother asked if, I could video chat, and so my sons can see their cousin. I thought that would be cool. Just haven't really had the time, so I feel bad about that. Even though my brother's pretty busy, he seems to have a lot of time on his hands doing family history stuff along with his work stuff. So that's cool. I just don't remember what it's like having a lot of free time. Just been really busy recently. Anyways, I was talking to a coworker about AI stuff and kind of going on my regular monologue tangent, just going through what's going through my brain and letting my brain work out things as I talk. My dad did that too. He would just talk to people to help work out things that he's thinking about in his own mind. Because for some reason when you talk about it, it's a little bit easier to figure out things rather than just keeping as ideas in your mind. So definitely, like, speaking out loud about things helps you work out things that are going on in your brain. So I was talking about AI with my coworker. I had a funny idea about the assimilation of humanity into AI, basically like a computer. So I think one thing we've all very much taken for granted in our human lives is the illusion of time. And it's proven by theoretical physics, particularly Einstein's theory of relativity, is that exactly as it says, time is relative. As much as we like to think of it as a constant, we see time as we are. We don't see time as it is, or even deeper than that. We make up time, or experience time as our own delusion. We see it as we need to in order to survive. So we see our own man-made version of time, but not the actual reality. And we take that for granted so much, We think time is a constant, and everyone assumes that except the physicists, who know a deeper reality because of their mathematical computations. So when you talk about the emergence of humanity with AI, which I believe they call the singularity, when humans and machines will be put together, I think the biggest thing we're going to find is that maybe computers will not experience time the same as us humans do. So being connected to a computer, hardware mentally, I think we're going to see that time is an illusion. And if time is an illusion, then within the computer world anyways, we could basically, I would think, like live in eternity in a moment, kind of like that movie Inception, where you could be on these devices living in your own world. You could live 1,000 years in the computer world when only a few years has passed in the real world. Okay, now to open the present. I bet you there is a giant womb in there. There's the womb, and it's huge. Holy shit. Wow, maybe this deer was at Charm, but this is the biggest womb I've seen. It looks huge. Holy shit. Holy shit. Wow. Wow, 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 that's huge. That's a giant womb. Oh my gosh, there's more. Oh fuck. Okay. Guess what I'll do is pick that womb, put it in here. Wowie, wowie, wowie. Okay. If there's no baby popping out, maybe people would buy it. I don't know. Whatever. It's one womb down. That looks like another few weeks it would be ready to come out. I mean, that's a really ripe womb. All right. And at the request of our hunter people, we're gonna take out the spleen. So let's get all this shit down. Get all this shit out. There's the spleen. And the liver. Get that out. Huh. There we go. Whoops. Fuck. Spleen. And liver. Liver. We don't need these. Wow. Okay. Wow. Holy shit. This guy's a lot of fat. I guess it saved up a lot of fat for taking care of that fawn. Try to use as much of this animal as I can and not waste. So we're gonna make use of these intestines. Oh, fuck. This esophagus is very difficult to cut. All right, now for the tenderloins. Wow, look at these fat reserves. Huge fat reserves here. This mother was definitely getting ready for birth. There we go. All right, now let's take off some of this meat from the back and the sides. So what was I getting at? Yeah. Time and singularity. So a thing that enlightened people talk about is kind of seeing the world as it was, getting outside normal human consciousness and getting close to, I guess you would say, God mind. I think what would be interesting if we find is that maybe being connected with AI, we might find could be somewhat of a shortcut to that God mind so many people were looking for. Maybe we'll find God in the computer. Doesn't seem like the place that usually would find, but if you can enter the computer realm, isn't that God's realm? It'd be funny if it was, because it's a genius brain. And yeah, the thing about time not existing anymore and being able to experience eternity in a few moments because of maybe in a simulation with the computer mind, I think that would be a great awakening for people. To kind of see the world through God's eyes. I think would be a very amazing experience, like instant enlightenment, I'd imagine it actually might be like that, to be connected with the computer mind, where you're not bound by the normal humanoid consciousness. And what would happen if we're encountered with infinity? How would we see the world differently, you know? Okay, now for the bones. Bones. I was talking to my coworker. What did I say? If we were to enter God's mind, I think suddenly the illusional world we live in just might not seem as interesting anymore. We'll just notice it's just a simulation game that we're in. And what's the use of playing a game that doesn't really matter, you know? I mean, if it matters to you, I guess that's great and all, but for a lot of people, if they really did understand and believe that we're living in a simulation game made by, I don't know, ourselves or a higher power, I could imagine a lot of people wanting to log out of that game. And maybe hitting the reset button. So we have to go through that game one more time. Give us more time to once again figure it out. Or just actually running in circles. Like that movie Memento, when he's already caught his wife's killer, but he keeps lying to himself so he can keep on the chase, endless chase, to hunt for his wife's killer, because that's the only thing that keeps him going. So he keeps inventing this loop that goes round and round. And it's an endless loop. And it's delusional. But that's what keeps him going. And we do anything to keep ourselves going, right? Anything to keep us motivated. Anything to keep us trying. For a lot of people, that's children thinking of the future. So those motivations made so that we keep trying. It's very possible that these things were made in our simulation in order for us to keep going. So I think birth and death is basically kind of a reset in the program to make us value time more. That seems like a valid setting, a smart thing to do. Just anything to keep motivated, to keep trying, to keep active in this world. What better is there than survival, having to hunt or grow things in order to survive? It's the greatest motivation to keep on going. So that's an excellent rule in the Matrix world. And I think as we keep on living and explore deeper, we're going to see that the world that we live in, the rules that we made, maybe it was just there all along to keep us going, to keep us motivated and keep doing things. You need to eat to survive, so you always need to be doing something. Taking care of the animals, farming. And the moment maybe the simulation ends is where you don't want to do anything anymore. So you can't have that, right? So you always got to have some motivation to keep people going, to keep trying, to have something to fight for. And if people don't have that, I think they'll just make it up. They'll make up something exciting and interesting to keep them going, to keep them trying hard, to keep them motivated. Because without that, well, people just won't try anymore. So I think each person should look at their motivations very deeply. And while you do those things, and I think you would have a much bigger value and appreciation for life if you can see you do have motivations and you do have things you want to live and fight for, and that could be a very positive thing. So struggle is not at all bad. Struggle is a wonderful thing that keeps us going and trying our best in whatever we do. So you can't get rid of struggle, I think, if you're making a simulation. Motherfucker. Something is just spreading this crap every fucking... Okay. Oh boy. Bitch. Okay. One down. One fetus. I bet you this one's pregnant. I don't know about that one. That one doesn't look pregnant, but this one is. Very, 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 very pregnant. Whew. Sometimes I'm at the cafe, working my ass off. I think of all the good I'm doing. Ugh. Ugh. I'm feeding people, giving them a place to communicate. and communicating with my coworkers, creating a bond together, a history together. And interacting with local people. And I think there's just a lot more to simple things than we often may realize. And we should never underestimate things we do, the effect it has on people, and being social and all. So in the past, I guess, I felt, well, I'm just making a little bit of money at the cafe. I'm not really making a huge difference. I'm not really important. If this place wasn't here, nobody would care. But I think that's very far from the truth now. I'm working with my coworkers and family and friends and contributing to the community, being a part of society, and such things should never be underestimated, undervalued. Very important. And at the cafe, we're working together for a single purpose and the mission, which is to take care of our customers and give them good nutritional food. And maybe bring back memories of when they're young. So we do have a lot of older customers. And younger customers too. So old school places like ours don't really exist anymore. They've all gone out of business. So to have a place that's still standing and people can appreciate and like coming to, I think is a nice feeling. I always remember the old places I visit in LA and how going back there, we'd always go back there just because it's where we always went, it was our place. And the staff would know us and give us a nice little greeting. And, those places, they just don't exist anymore, You go to a fast food restaurant, you might see somebody but they really can't take time out to talk to you and ask you how things are going, because it's kind of against franchise rules, I think. You could a little bit, but when it's your own restaurant, your own family restaurant, you don't worry about those types of things, As long as you're taking care of customers, you can still talk to other customers, friends, people make them a free dessert if you wanted to, because it's your own place. You call the shots, you make the rules, have a lot of freedom, So having that kind of thing is really invaluable and really special and nice. So I think I am a part of a special thing, my wife's cafe. And it'd be nice to keep it going as long as we can. Who knows if future generations will want to take it over, or how the restaurant might look in the future. But I think it's more than just a cafe, but it's a nostalgic value. It has meaning to people in our area. And I think that's kind of history and thing that maybe I can't do, is the kind of value it gives as far as sentimental value and meaning. Maybe I could kind of replicate it, but there's nothing like the real thing, you know? So maybe in the future, that's going to be the big thing. It's the thing that nostalgia holds, that maybe AI cannot replicate and AI cannot copy. It's a thing that money can't buy. Something that is very limited. I guess that's time. But if humans live a long time, well, that won't matter either. Tomorrow I have a 11 o'clock lesson, and I need to take care of cleaning up the rest of the stuff in my old house. Landlord was kind of complaining. Not the landlord, but the real estate agent who speaks on behalf of the landlord was kind of complaining about the mess I was leaving. Even though it wasn't my mess, but they felt we should clean up more properly because the landlord did a lot for us when we were moving in with our little kids. But now they're all grown up. You know, moving out is always not a good thing, easy thing. My sister says her husband is having a lot of stress because the house rental they have, their tenants are moving out, so it's a big hassle taking care of things, loose ends and stuff. So basically they're on the other side of what me and my wife are going through, which is moving out of the house and cleaning up, and who pays for what, and repairs here and repairs there, and damages here and damages there. I'm sure it's a little bit more strict in America, but Japanese people seem to be a little bit more cool about it because the value of the houses is worth a lot less than American houses, especially in the city. Oof, look at that steam come off. Oh, this guy looks a little fresh. Or the fur was holding a lot of moisture. I don't know which one. This knife is getting dull. Okay. Let's see. Just get it around the head. And the legs. I've always thought about being a landlord, but yeah, there's a lot of headache and responsibility. I think it's an important nest egg, though, for the future when retiring, but it also could be a bit of a liability, especially if you have kids that are fighting over properties. In the States, I would imagine you would be fighting over it because it's actually worth something, but in Japan, it's probably just a headache to have to take care of someone's worthless house. So usually you won't find people fighting for such things. I guess that's a good thing. Whenever you get money involved, everything seems to get fucked up in some way or another. Greedy people. A lot of talk about Shohei Ohtani and his translator, and how his translator got hooked on gambling when he was in Vegas, and lots of debts that it seemed like Ohtani would be willing to pay for, but he would be paying off an illegal bookie. I think he was targeted So he would have to borrow money from Otani in order to pay off the debt. So pretty sneaky people out there. And they will take advantage of you if they see an opportunity. Everyone seems to be out for a buck. And if you're the most well-paid sports hero in history, well, people are really going to go after you then. Can't imagine what it'd be like for lottery hunters getting scammed. I'm sure it's got to be terrible. Definitely being rich is not all it's cut out to be, I'm sure. If everyone experienced it, I'm sure a lot of people would want to be away with it and not have to deal with it and just live the life, they had before. But like they say, when you let the genie out of the bottle, there's no putting it back in. Anyways, let's get this leg off. There we go. Oop. Guess having enough money is good enough, Going after the extra money and killing yourself for it is just not worth it. Just gotta do what you love. And I think you'll be happier for it. Being true to your conscience rather than getting caught in the endless cycle of more and more, I think I have enough. Like my father said, I have wealth in my family and my children, and that's the greatest wealth of all. So I'm very proud and happy of that. I'm proud I have a good relationship with my family and kids. And I know my dad's proud of me. He always told me he's proud of me. So it's always a nice feeling to have. But regardless, I'm happy. That's all that matters. Not the fact that someone else is happy that I'm happy. Who gives a shit? I'd imagine maybe someone from a future generation is related to me. Maybe a grandchild, great-great-grandchild, great-great-great-grandchild is researching the archaic times before the great peace that AI brought us, and think how we lived life back when. Well, basically now. Well, what would I say to them about how life is now? I guess to them, it would seem extremely difficult and hard, fighting for survival. And it may seem that way to future generations who maybe have a much easier life, or who knows, maybe they have a difficult life, or just different problems relative to my own. Maybe kind of like the Old West when it was freedom, but it was also an extremely difficult time to live. Kind of like that, I guess. Maybe the world we live in now is maybe more free than the world that the future people who are watching this video see. I'm not connected to anything. My cell phone's on my head. I guess I could be tracked, yeah, but generally speaking, I'm pretty much by myself. What's that sound? Sounds like an airplane. What does that sound? Sounds like an airplane overhead. Wow. Okay. Guess I work harder than the average person, but I just see it as doing what I'm doing, you know? Nothing particularly special or difficult, because you're always doing something. You're watching a movie, you're doing something. You're out in the mountains, pulling out deer fetuses. That's also doing something. And we have another gigantic worm. Wow, this is huge. Whoa, that's huge. Huge worm. Smaller than the last one, but still comparably big. Let's cut that guy off. Okay. Wow, this is heavy. I mean, yeah, that's got fucking 10 kilograms of deer fetus, man. Fuck. Huge. I'm just doing what I'm doing. This deer is doing what it did. That's all it is, you know? It's like it's a lot less control over things than I think we actually believe. God runs the show, you know? We're just spectators. That's kind of how I see things from all the philosophy and stuff I've studied. We're just spectators. So it's not my life, but it's just life, you know? I think that's a more accurate answer. So, is it hard for a bee going around and getting all that honey? I guess if you asked it, it might say yes, but it'll probably tell you it was just doing what it was doing, and it didn't have to really think about anything. And that's kind of easy, you know? Let life live you, not you live life. Let life live you. And when you let that happen, nothing is really difficult anymore. Everything's pretty easy. Okay. Shit. There's so much meat here, I'm gonna have to pack it up in bags before I do the last one. Oh, this is an easier way to take off the skin. Go from the front. I never thought of that. Yeah. That works good. Should have thought of this earlier. Okay. Let's go through the breastbone here. I'm always finding new and interesting new techniques as I dissect animals. And the flies are starting to come. It's not good. It seemed to be easier on that side, not this side. Anyways, let's take these guts out. Took me a while to figure out. Cutting the guts first on the bottom side is a lot easier than getting it on the top side. Kind of have to cut both, but when you cut it from the bottom, it comes off a lot easier. Wow, it's a lot of blood. It's just this dang esophagus. It's just so tight. Once you get through it, come on. Comes off relatively easy. Let's work on this breast meat. I think I would have been really good at doing autopsies. Definitely not a good doctor, though. Can't imagine living a life as a doctor with that much responsibility and that much at stake at hand with every patient, especially if you're in a very difficult hospital with a lot of serious patients. You have to have some real balls to do that kind of thing. Dealing with parents whose children are dying, family members are dying. It's just it's next level stuff, you know. So you gotta respect them, but a lot of them don't even have time for their own families because they're too busy taking care of other people's families. It's a hard way to live, you know. Everyone's one way or another sacrificing something. Sacrificing their time to do something. Whether or not you realize it, I think you're always making a sacrifice or sacrificing other people. Let's make another bucket. Oh. Yeah, this is my second bone bucket. Oh. Let's fill that up. I personally feel making sacrifices for other people is a lot easier than making sacrifices for yourself. Doing things for myself never really motivated me to do much. It always had to be for something, you know, something bigger, some cause, something worthwhile. And when you had that, I think it felt There was more on the line, there was more at stake. What you did had more meaning. So it makes you think when people join causes, it's not really about the causes they join, but a lot of people it's about themselves and how it makes them feel better to help people, to assist people. So a lot of structures are based upon that human need to feel a part of something, a part of a community. But when things go awry, that could easily turn into a cult, and that can be scary, you know? I don't know why people join cults. It's easy to follow somebody charismatic, listen to whatever they say, do whatever you're told. I guess it is, easier to be told what to do rather than have to take responsibility for what you tell other people to do. Isn't that kind of like what communism is? In a way, they say in Japan it's a democracy, but I think it's not so much different than communism, because I think generally speaking, Japanese characters is a character where they want to be told what to do because it's just easier. That's why you don't see a lot of huge startups in Japan like you see in America. Japan will never take responsibility for starting a new business where there's no history, there's no guidebook to tell what to do, no information. You have to always be treading new water. I think that's really hard for a lot of Japanese to do, so that's why so very rarely you see unicorns. You very rarely see people taking chances to try new things, which I think in the very near future is going to be very important and needed. So I was talking to my coworker. In the future, people are going to have to start making their own jobs because there really won't be any anymore, Whether you're an influencer, a YouTuber, a nail salonist, whatever that may be, you're going to have to take responsibility and do things for yourself. And it's not always easy thing to do. It makes me think one day my parents-in-law aren't around and someone's going to have to make some decisions about the cafe. Maybe I might have to take responsibility and make some of those decisions where other members of the family will be afraid to take risks and chances because, what if you're wrong? No one wants to be wrong, so for, I think, Japanese, the thought of being wrong is worse than failure. So they don't want to fail. So they don't take the chance. But if you don't take the chance, you don't give yourself the opportunity to try something new and exceed and excel. Mistakes are fine. Without mistakes, you're never going to grow, you're never going to learn. So I think teaching young Japanese making mistakes. It's a very important thing, vital thing to do. Bugs are a lot around here now. Oh, fucking bug on my head. Okay, something's... is that a mosquito? God damn it. I don't know, something was eating at my head. I wonder if I bought spray. Maybe not. Did I bring spray? Okay. No spray. Oh well. Okay, got our bone bucket here. Whew. One more to go. I think I got a lot of baskets, so maybe wait a bit before I toss it. Bone bucket, junk above it, and this axe is awesome. I love axes. Whew. One more. Let's fucking do it. The last guy's not gonna fill this up. And I don't think this last guy's pregnant either. Last girl's pregnant. I doubt it. Possible. I doubt it. Too skinny. I think cutting these deers is good mental training. I would often stress myself at night thinking, oh, I need to drive all the way out here. Oh, I need to cut all the deer. It's going to take so much time. Oh, I'm going to come back late and go to sleep late. And I'm going to be so tired the next morning. And all these things would like go in my mind and make it a lot worse than it actually is. Whereas if you're not thinking about that stuff, you're just kind of doing it, you know, and it's a lot easier. But yeah, not thinking about it is a lot easier said than done. So I kind of think to myself, how did I get to this point where it doesn't bother me nearly as much as it used to? It's just take one moment at a time, you know? One moment at a time. It's all that you got. So I think I kind of divided into parts, you know? On the ride up there to pick up the deer, I listened to a podcast, so I enjoy listening to podcasts. It really passes the time, stimulates my mind, and think about things, hear other people's ideas, you know, makes the time fly a lot faster. So it's kind of a educational thing for me, kind of like a classroom. Otherwise, I wouldn't listen to podcasts. If I just finished work and got home, I would probably be watching a movie or YouTube or something. Definitely not listening to educational podcasts. So, yeah, it gives me a good opportunity to do those things. And yeah, when I get here, I put on the camera and I start talking. So talking is very much doing, and I get engrossed in talking. And I'm not really worrying about that much, if it's interesting or not. Of course, I do want it to be interesting. I kind of do think about maybe who would be watching it. Right now, I only have 1 view per video. I don't really care. But I really do wonder who would be watching this kind of thing. But it's fun. And when I'm talking, it is kind of therapeutic. I guess it's kind of like my therapy. Just me time, you know? Time for me to talk. Because when I'm teaching English, my main thing is to get other people to talk about themselves so they speak English more and learn to articulate their feelings in the English language, which is what speaking English is all about. If I was speaking the whole lesson, well, that wouldn't be very good at all. So definitely make it a point to where my students are speaking as much as possible. And I try to ask questions to get them to speak and think even more. So I've kind of learned, I guess, a skill to keep a conversation going, to delve into their mind more in regards to the topic that they're speaking of. So, for example, I had a lesson today with a young girl, and she went to her friend's weddings, 2 weddings this month. So she was quite busy. She forgot English lesson a few times. So, I just asked her about how the weddings were, what she did, what she experienced, and she had to communicate that all in English. And it wasn't easy, but she tried. So I personally feel that's really good practice as far as, getting to your goal, which is speaking English. And the parts where she wasn't too good at communicating, I would write it on the whiteboard so she could learn how to express what she's saying a little bit better, maybe add a few phrases. And then we'd work on the workbook together. So, always during my English lessons, basically, my students are talking because it's their lesson. And generally, they feel more satisfied when they talk a lot because that's what they want to do as an English speaker, to communicate their thoughts and feelings. And what better way to do that than talk about what you did? So, since they're talking a lot, I'm not talking a lot. So, I don't get to express my thoughts and feelings as much as maybe I would like to. Okay, how are these guts gonna get cut off? So, this time for me, as the happy butcher, is a time that I can use to express myself, not just through butchering, which I guess is a form of expression, kind of an art form, because there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say. Well, there's more than 1,000 ways to skin a deer. And for me personally, this is the method that I found that has been most easiest. And slowly, little by little, as I experiment, I find easier and faster ways to do things. But for now, this is the best way I've found. and the fastest because it's the middle of the night. I'm not tired, surprisingly, when I'm butchering. I'm not tired at all. It's like I'm skydiving. My adrenaline is pumping. I'm wielding a knife. I'm tired. And my body is forcing me to focus so I don't injure myself. Because this is dangerous and it's dirty. And you need to be careful. So for me, it's kind of like skydiving. Or maybe riding a motorcycle. Except it also makes me money, so is there a better hobby than that? Okay. I always had a problem with this area in the past, but now it's gotten quite easy. All you need to do is just touch it and find the place where the tail and the cartilage hit, like so, and it comes right off. I remember one time I was fiddling around for like 5 minutes trying to find that area. It took a while. And now comes the banana peel. Boom. This is a skinny deer. Okay. I'm sure this haul will be about around 50 kilograms of meat, which is pretty awesome. 50 kilograms of meat for what I paid, about $60, is very, very cheap. And it's a great deal for buyers out there. So it's nice to have a commodity that people need and desire, because a lot of people have pets these days, so thank goodness for that. Everyone's trying to secure a good, cheap source of meat, and I am that. I am that. It's one of my favorite indie yogis. His name of his book is I Am That. I am that who supplies meat to people who need it. But his teachings are, I am that, period. There's nothing else. Okay. Interesting. Lots of poo-poo there. Oops. All right, let's take off these legs. Ready. Oof. It is getting a lot warmer though. I'm wearing a jacket under this raincoat, but it is a little bit musty and hot. In the summertime, I don't think maybe an undershirt is too hot. So I'm not looking forward to that. And about 1 billion flies and insects come, so that's also not very nice. And I think the maggots will be born every 5 seconds out here when it's summer. And it'll get stinky. The meat will rot faster. But I don't think dogs mind. So now's a kind of ideal time. I mean, winter is actually more ideal because there's no insects. The meat almost never spoils. I think it was like 16 degrees today. I think this meat will be fine, but yeah, when it gets over 20s, it can get funky, especially in the car. Okay, it's good enough. Bone bucket. Fuck. It's been raining a lot recently. It's like rainy season. But that usually doesn't start till June, so that's still good. Farmers need the rain. I don't need the rain when I'm butchering, but sometimes it's just something you gotta deal with, you know? Gosh. Hunter today asked me, well, you're gonna get a lot of meat today, but if I catch another deer tomorrow, you still want it? And I was like, if my fridge isn't full, I'll take it, you know? Because who knows, next time I'll get a call from him. He's definitely my best supplier. I only have 2 suppliers, but he's the only one with a gun that I know, so much, much more active than other people. And he's a lot closer, which is nice. That's good enough. I gotta conserve time. All right, nice. Let's see what this guy's carrying. I doubt... Oh my gosh, we have another baby. The hunter was right. He said all 3 are pregnant, and he was correct. Wow, for a little guy, that's a big boom. Well, anyways, I'm glad I'm not wasting it. But good God, this is huge. Oh, man. Jesus. Oh, man, that's gotta be like... It's gotta be like 15 kilograms. Just fucking fetuses. Good God. Anyways. I really wonder if anyone will buy it. Huh. That'd be cool, though, if there's actually a market for deer fetuses. I mean, if there's a market for deer penises, deer fetuses could go for a premium. You never know. And yeah, my moral compass is not super effective, so if I could make a few bucks extra, I would. I stopped selling penises, though. I used to. The reason being is because yeah, I got flagged on the website for selling deer penises, so somebody didn't like it. By the way, deer penises weren't a hot item, so I just took it off. It wasn't risk getting so violated over such a low profit item. So yeah, I stopped selling deer penises and boar penises. I sometimes eat the balls myself. They're pretty good. If you've never tried balls, definitely try them. They're ball-tastic. I never heard of people eating wombs, though. Fetuses, maybe. Placentas, maybe. Oh, maybe that might be a good market. Deer placentas with fetuses. Wow. that would be nasty. But I'm sure there's a buyer. There's always a buyer for everything. Just who knows how weird that person might be. But people eat penises for various health beneficial reasons, they say. So maybe it's not all bad stuff. That meat bucket is almost full. Almost full. Man, this deer was small, but that fetus was as big as the other ones. I guess it got fatter than the other ones. Well, I guess it's like human women too. Sometimes you have really skinny pregnant women, you know? Can't even tell they're pregnant. I guess they're fashionably pregnant, if that's a thing. Because they don't want to look pregnant. Because they want to keep their shape. But nothing wrong with being pregnant and showing you're pregnant. Why hide it, you know? And the last rib. For some reason, this rib side is always most difficult to remove. I guess I have to go from this angle. And we're done. Okay. Think of all the hundreds of deers I've cut. I've never had any serious accidents. Even though I'm wielding a very sharp axe all the time, never hurt myself. Knock on wood. I guess I'm just extra careful is all. And here we are, the last stretch. Oh, this cut's a lot easier. This cut's a lot easier. Whew. Guess that's why they call it a boning knife. Cuts the meat off the bone real good. I think as humanity gets closer to singularity, we just really have to ask ourselves the question of what we want, you know? If you don't know what you want, what is your motivation for doing anything? And if you don't want anything, what's the point of doing anything? So maybe having that desire is more important than anything, but usually our wants come out of some form of suffering.